Now let us solve few questions based on the geometry and the standard loci related with complex numbers. So here is the first question. Identify the locus of z such that mod of 2z minus 1 is equal to mod of z minus 1. Now here if we see that the modulus of two particular quantities is given to be equal. So if we recollect, the standard locus which comes closer to this is of the type mod of z minus z1 is equal to k times mod of z minus z2, and we know that this represents a circle which is called as Apollonius circle. So that means due to the similarity, if we try to arrange the given equation in this particular required format, then it will prove that it's really a circle. So therefore, starting with the given, we take 2 common from the term inside the modulus. So we will have 2 into bracket z minus half. This is equal to mod of z minus 1. Now you know that this implies, since 2 is a constant that can be taken outside the modulus sign, so what remains is z minus half in the first modulus equal to mod of z minus 1. So this is definitely of the particular type above, where 2 can be thought of as a k and the remaining equation is of the same type. So therefore the locus of z is nothing but the circle. Let's see another question. If mod of z1 equal to mod of z2 equal to mod of z3, and if that is equal to 1, and z1 plus z2 plus z3 is equal to 0, then find the area of the triangle with vertices at z1, z2 and z3. Now let us look at the given data. That is, we are given that the modulus of each of the three numbers is equal to 1. So that means here we conclude that each of those three numbers is at a distance of 1 from the origin, right? So that means, see, there are various possibilities. That is, one number may be here, another number may be here, say, and the third number may be here. So we know that this is one possibility. Each of it is at a distance of 1. But if we look at the other condition, that is, sum of z1, z2 and z3 is 0, and if we recollect, a complex number can be represented as a vector in complex plane. So that means we want the vector sum of all these three directed segments to be equal to 0. So in order to have that, we cannot have the three numbers located as I have drawn currently. So that means one of the complex numbers must be on somewhat opposite side of the other two. So by little guessing, it is not difficult to see that the three complex numbers basically must form the vertices of an equilateral triangle, right? Because we know that since all are equally aligned to each other, and since they are of same magnitude, their vector sum will be obviously 0. So that means here are the distances as shown here. So we have to find the area of this particular equilateral triangle. Now looking at the smaller triangle here, we know that the angle below will be 30 degrees, right? So therefore the side adjacent to 30 degrees will be nothing but root 3 by 2, because cos 30 is root 3 by 2. So therefore the other half will also be obviously nothing but root 3 by 2. So therefore that makes the entire side is nothing but root 3. So therefore we know that area of the equilateral triangle is root 3 by 4 side square, right? that is root 3 by 4 into side square, and here the side is nothing but root 3 itself. So that gives us the final answer as root 3 square is 3 gets multiplied by root 3 by 4. So 3 root 3 by 4 is the area of the equilateral triangle formed by Z1, Z2 and Z3. Right? So let's go ahead to the next question. Z1, Z2, Z3 and Z4 are vertices of quadrilateral ABCD. If Z1 minus Z4 equal to Z2 minus Z3 and argument of Z4 minus Z1 upon Z2 minus Z1 equal to pi by 2, then what type of quadrilateral it is? Whether it's a rectangle, rhombus, square or a trapezium. Now here as per the convention, the 4 points are given in the same order as A, B, C and D. Now if you look at the condition given, which is Z1 minus Z4 is equal to Z2 minus Z3, if we just transpose the negative terms on the other side, we get Z1 plus Z3 is equal to Z2 plus Z4. So that means since Z1, Z2, Z3 and Z4 are in the correct order, that means Z1 and Z3 represent the opposite vertices of a quadrilateral. Okay, so here in general we may have the quadrilateral like this. Okay, here it is Z1, then here we have Z2, then here we have Z3 and lastly we have Z4. So now here we see on left hand side we have Z1 plus Z3 equal to Z2 plus Z4, or in other words we are talking about the opposite ends of the diagonals. So that means if we just divide both sides by 2, Z1 plus Z3 upon 2, we will get Z2 plus Z4 upon 2 also. So that means on left hand side we have nothing but the midpoint of one diagonal, and on the other hand we have midpoint of the other diagonal. So this means that the two diagonals bisect each other, which is a very important finding, right? Now we know that from geometry, if the two diagonals of a quadrilateral bisect each other, then it can be basically a parallelogram, or it may be a special case, that is it may be a rhombus, or it may also be a rectangle, because rectangle is a parallelogram, or it's very well possible that it could be a square also. Okay, and if it is a symmetric trapezium, then it will be a trapezium also. That means we have possibly all the 4 cases possible. But now let us couple that with the second fact, that is we are given the argument of Z4 minus Z1 upon Z2 minus Z1 is pi by 2, which is 90 degrees. So that means the angle between Z4 Z1 and Z2 Z1 is 90 degrees. So that means if this particular angle is 90 degrees, and if we couple that with the possible types, then the only conclusion that we can draw is the minimum type of the 4 types which we have written here is the parallelogram, because that is the most general possibility about a quadrilateral whose diagonals bisect each other. Now if we couple that with the fact that one of the angle is 90 degrees, that means it's a parallelogram in which one angle is 90 degrees, then it means that that quadrilateral is nothing but a rectangle, because this is the most general statement that we can make about the type of the quadrilateral. We don't know whether that is a square or not, but it is definitely a rectangle. So therefore the answer is the quadrilateral is a rectangle. Now let's see one more question. If z is equal to x plus iy and w is equal to 1 minus iz whole upon z minus I, then mod of w equal to 1 implies that in complex plane z lies on imaginary axis, real axis, unit circle, or none of these. So here we have to find out the locus of z, that is where does z lie on, right? Now we are given the definition of w and we are also given that its modulus is equal to 1. So if modulus of w is equal to 1, then we can substitute and say that w is nothing but 1 minus iz upon z minus I whole equal to 1, right? Now the property of modulus is that if you have a division of two numbers and you take the modulus of that, then that is equivalent to doing the division of two individual moduli. So therefore we can break the modulus like this, and therefore we can write 1 minus iz mod is equal to mod of z minus I, right? Now substituting the value of z, that is we are given that z equal to x plus iy, which is a general complex number. So therefore substituting the values, we'll get 1 minus I into, I write in place of z as x plus iy is equal to mod of x plus iy minus I. Alright, so therefore now collecting the real terms, that is, see, 1 is definitely real, and if you look at minus I into iy, that gives us minus I square y, which is plus y. So therefore 1 plus y is the real part. Now here just to remind ourselves, since x plus iy is the complex number, as per terminology x and y are the real numbers themselves. So therefore here we have 1 plus y as definitely the real part, and from here we subtract ix, which is the imaginary part. Now in the second number we have x as the only real part, and from the remaining two terms we take I common and write y minus 1, that's the imaginary part. Now what we have got essentially is the modulus of two complex numbers is same. So therefore we can remove the modulus by writing the formula of modulus, so that we'll get a relation in x and y. So the modulus is nothing but real part square plus imaginary part square, and we have basically the square root in the modulus formula, but since both the sides have square root, we can eliminate that by squaring both sides. So here we have therefore x square plus y minus 1 the whole square. So therefore here we have 1 plus 2y plus y square plus x square is equal to, on the right hand side we have x square plus y square minus 2y plus 1. So you see 1 gets cancelled from both sides, y square gets cancelled, x square gets cancelled, so we are left with 2y equal to minus 2y, so that gives us 4y equal to 0, and therefore finally we get y equal to 0. Now you know that y equal to 0 is nothing but the equation of real axis. So that means that the number z lies on real axis, that is z is purely real number. So therefore option B is the correct answer.